Welcome everyone to the April 30th meeting of the Revitalization Trust Fund. We are meeting on Zoom remotely and we are able to have the public through the town announcements be able to know that this meeting is occurring, and they are welcome to join us at any time. But joining the meeting does not necessarily create public commentary within the meeting itself. And we're off. So, number one, we need to accept the meeting notes from the March 25th meeting. So I would propose that we have we accept the meeting notes as amended for the March 25th, 2024 meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All righty then. Okay, next we have update on the Burt Wickstrom bench. The fundraising has been very active for this bench, and we're up to $1,990 of the $2,650 that we need. And I'm just about to, I just got the total about 15 minutes ago. So I will be contacting our friends at Secondhand Rose, who are the ones who have been rallying people to be able to contribute to the bench, and let them know how close we are to being able to do that. So my expectation is that hopefully within the next week or so, that we will have the funding probably completed. So this is bench. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I did send back that one check that came in that was unsigned. Back to we had looked for the Louise and I tried to do a deep dive to see if we could find their phone number, but we couldn't. So we did a letter and mailed it back to them, letting them know that the check wasn't signed and to please sign it and resubmit.
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was funny. This is, oh, what a nice donation. Oh, it's not signed. So thank you very much, JP, for you guys sending that back. And I'm sure that they will turn it around as soon as they receive it. How many days ago was that?
We sent it, went out last week, so I think it probably made it in the mail on Friday. So
okay, so they
probably got it, probably got it back Saturday or today, and then send it back in. So
great. All righty. So that's where we are as far as that bench goes. Let's see what we've got it on the agenda here. That's next one, which is the Mitchell School bench. That one, I spoke to the sponsor for that bench a couple of days ago, that he is very excited to be able to get that project kicked into gear. He's got a little work to be able to speak to his committee and people related to the bench to be able to get the final plaque information. But he is actively working on that and rallying those people together to get back to us. They want to be able to have the bench installed before their Jog Your Memory race, which this bench is dedicated to the two founders of that charity. And so that happens either at the end of August or first week of September, something like that. So the fact that it takes about 10 weeks to be able to get the bench, and then we have a little bit of site work to be able to do just prior to that once the bench is ordered. So I just wanted to make sure he knew we needed to get it going so we could have have all the prep work done for the bench to come in and have it all set up so that when they do the race, they can do their celebration and thank you to the founders. Cool. So he's in progress with that. And third, let's see, today's Tuesday. So on the bench for Catherine Booney, that project, that the select board are actually doing a confirmation vote on that bench this evening. So tomorrow I'll have a note as, or I'll either inquire or just get a message that says that that they have completed the vote, and that way we should be all good to go with that bench. That one would probably be installed. I mean, they're literally will be carving it as soon as they get the go-ahead. But because it's made out of granite. But they would probably be working or finishing that bench sometime during the month of May. And then my expectation is that sometime during June, we would probably be able to do the dedication for that one. So those are three exciting projects, all sort of, rolling their way along as we keep them moving forward. This an update on the NCAC gift from the Arts Council and so on. JP, do you have any update on where that's at?
Let's just say that I had to resubmit every single one that was turned in. So they're all in the process now.
Okay.
Was working on that for the past last week. So
well, thank you for doing that. I
yeah.
appreciate it. So that's great. And actually in the next week or so, I actually am going to finishing up the paperwork to accept or basically confirm the acceptance of the grant that we got for this year. And so that they have that in process. I wanted to sort of make sure that we had the other piece sort of put together. And if there's anything we need to learn from that before I submit the other acceptance, then I wanted to make sure that I would get it right. So what I'll do, JP, is should I just send it to you first? Just to see if it all conforms to what you think, or did I just send it off to the NCAC again?
Oh, you're muted.
Send it directly to them. Send it to their email address.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they do the review process. And then if there's any issues, they'll get back to you directly. I mean, and if there's bigger issues, they'll loop me in. But most of the time, they know all that stuff in terms of like, because there's specific rules the state implies on it of the way it also has to be done. So
yeah, and some of it has to do with posting that they were a sponsor and those kind of things, to validate those kind of things. And we certainly are able to do that because it's literally listed on the From Needham to the World poster, or the wall mural. And of course they're also continuously listed on our site.
How much is that grant for? Just if you don't mind me asking.
Well, yeah, no, sure. Of course, $400. Each one of the grant that we're waiting to have come in was one from last year that is for $400, and then the new one were also for $400. And they were both connected directly to From Needham to the World projects. So, and the one for last year was, it was the first time we'd actually gotten a grant in our history. So that was totally awesome. And then got to do it again. So they were wonderful to be able to help to support us again. And from what I understand, that now the town is actually contributing a portion of money to reinforce what the Mass Cultural Council allocates to them to be able to do exactly these kinds of things. So that's great. And JP, can you speak to any of that just while we're on that subject?
Yeah,
the town is literally financially helping support art.
Right, exactly. It's really good. And in the next town budget, the NCAC actually got an additional $10,000 from the town to be able to support art. So you'll probably see more things going forward that they're going to sponsor and work with. But yeah, they get about $9,500 from the state. And then the town graciously matches that funds. And then when I was coming in there, we quickly put through a request last October to try to increase that funds because the NCAC had completed an arts plan through the Regional Metropolitan Planning Organization. So there's kind of a draft one that's out there that'll be basically completed, compiled, and then it kind of gives the town a vision kind of where to go with the future of art in town, and then laying the groundwork and how NCAC can work to get, you know, more public art done, more public performances, and engage people to be involved in that. And, you know, working on a town policy to how it's displayed. Like there already is a town policy to be able to display art with inside town hall that really isn't utilized. There's the few photos, there are paintings that have been outside of Powers Hall for a while. But it's, you know, trying to get the word out there that is available for artists to use, as well as, you know, with the idea once Great Plain Avenue is redone and probably starting in 2 to 3 years, like maybe impart some more public art into that as well.
Mhm. And just as a question, is that something that the Revitalization Trust Fund could be involved with?
The public art, I'm
Public-
assuming, I mean, I
public
think
art.
that's the public art. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be funds need to be raised for it. So, you know, all the parties involved are going to have to be involved. And I think once the art plan is done and finalized, I think that's have a deep conversation on, you know, how fundraising is going to go forward to generate funds for that, and then the approval processes for doing that public art, because, you know, there does need to be a review process for it.
Yeah, I think, and one of the things that it'd be interesting to know though is, you know, since you know, we've been very involved in public art for the last 20 years, that it would be interesting to be involved in the discussions about what that public art would be. So, you know, that's really the question that I'm asking, just so that we
Yeah.
also have an understanding of what the perspective is on doing those types of things. And so anything that we do could be more aligned with it.
No, definitely. And I'll definitely place that forward. I mean, as I'll say, it's going to be the decisions that are going to be made on this are going to be way above my pay grade. So
Yeah,
it's probably going to come down from the select board and then work its way down to, you know, the various committees and going forward on that. So once, I mean, the plan of it hasn't even been thought of for Great Plains. So, you know, we're just meeting with the consultants, I think, in the next couple of weeks, and then developing the plan. And then, of course, the public meetings, which I think is going to be very imperative for, you know, the NCRTF to be involved in for that, and maybe building in some areas for displays and so forth.
sure. I mean, there were actually a couple of spots that were actually designed for public art in the phase 1 of the downtown streetscape. So, but there actually hasn't, you know, but no art was actually, you know, designed or placed in them. So, you know, that I think that, you know, being able to have a perspective of what kinds of things would be not only beautiful, but also practical in terms of how they, you know, can be interacted with on the streetscapes and so on. You know, could be a, you know, something that the Revitalization Trust Fund could add perspective on. So,
Definitely agree.
yeah. Great. All right. First of all, I want to give a great high five to JP for having put up the From Needham to the World page on our web page. So thank you tremendously for getting that all set up. Looks great, and it tells the story of each person, and then it has a link to the QR code, as well as the picture of the mural for each one of the ones we've done so far, including Denny's. And so that's terrific. And now it's basically just a matter of being able to put up the next one, as they turn over. So that'll be, that'll be much easier and I can't thank you enough, JP, for, working your way through getting it all set up and making it happen.
Not a problem.
And let's see. Update on the master bench. Well, basically the update at the moment is the fact that because they've been parking front end loaders and other types of digging equipment on the front lawn of the of the post office, I'm assuming that part of the contract for being able to do the work they're doing is going to be to pay to put the lawn back together for the for the post office.
What happened? Did a telephone pole fall down across the street?
No, they have been replacing I don't know whether it's gas lines or sewer lines.
Gas lines.
Gas lines, yeah. Throughout the town. That's why it's like street after street after street has been ripped up.
Yeah, but specifically the post office the other day, but maybe it was on the weekend, Saturday, it was like completely closed down. It looks like a telephone pole had literally fallen across the road and took down the lines with it. So
Really?
I didn't know if it had anything to do with the utility work, but no, this was like I think it fell over. It looked like the bottom was rotted. I don't know. There was like a whole crew from Camellas, like all the way down, almost to Mark Tree was like closed off.
Wow.
So anyway.
Well, yeah, well, we also have a trellis that is, literally waiting to go there.
Right.
And then at the same time, we'll also clean up the bench that's there. And the potential is that could have a second bench there to honor the postman that was so loved in the town, who had been on his route for 35 years
Mm,
and had a great, a huge following from all the people that he had on his routes. So I thought, that would be a really wonderful tribute to him, and also, sort of a symbol of the best of what the post office brings to the community. So basically, once there's no longer heavy equipment tearing up the front lawn, I'm going to stop back and if I get a chance to, maybe the end of this week, but probably in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and go and talk to the postmaster again and say, just get an idea of what the plan is to put the front lawn back together again, and then we can work in conjunction with them to, really put it back so it's got a lot of, even more attractive, look to it. So that's the update on that one. We already talked about the Amity Path bench and the select board this evening. The Needham Heights banner project, it was approved by design review. And now we're wanting to be able to just have basically JP and Amy and I are going to meet this week to be able to talk about the project and how, just to be sure that it basically stays in line with what the new branding is for the town. Or if the branding is going to be, fairly far out, then, then we'll discuss that, because we have someone who who's come forward, who said that they would potentially sponsor a good portion of the funding required for the banner project. And then we would rally together the remaining balance. But the idea and the hope is that that banner project would go up in June and really add a splash of color, and and also just an experience of, when you drive into that area, that you're in Needham Heights. As well as designating the public parking lot there in a way where people cannot miss the fact that it's a public parking lot.
Wood parking lot.
Yeah, Yeah, and that they can, that they can definitely take advantage of it when they're shopping in the stores and and eating in the restaurants and spending time on, on every square. So tune in next time. And let's see. Carol has been taking the lead on being able to see if she, through her contacts, was knew people who might be potential members of the Revitalization Trust Fund. People who have an active interest in the kinds of things that we're doing and have the enthusiasm and personality to be able to join our gang. So, Carol, do you want to talk
Sure.
a little bit about it?
Yeah, her name is Joan O'Connor, and she happens to live on my street, but she's also a very intelligent woman, and I've known her for at least 30 years. So her husband just recently died, and I said to her, I said, "Would you might be interested in CRTF?" And she says, "Oh, I think I really would like that." So I said, "Okay." So we are getting her to understand what, we're looking to make Needham look like we think we should help it look like, and that she would be very interested in that. And so, and she's talked with you.
Yes, and I spoke with her, had a very nice conversation with her. Um, she's wonderful to talk with, full of energy,
Yeah,
and and she has um, uh, a background in art curation. So that was really wonderful. I think she said for the Kennedy Library.
oh,
So
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
she's done a variety of different things that were all
Yeah,
sort of connected with art or things that would be cultural connections. So she was quite enthusiastic about, what we were doing, and she had, I gave her an overview of some of the things that we had done, and she goes, "Well, I had no idea." So, so, I say, well, that's this you and most other people in the town. So, it's, don't feel bad. But she she was going away for a week or two, and I think that includes this week. But she's going to be back, I think, in early May. And then I told her that the process basically is uh, that she follow up with Miles, and then he can walk them through the process. I know town meeting, is about to happen, so it might get pushed off until just after town meeting. But potential is before we um, potentially we might be able to have a new person as a member of the committee sometime in June, if that's possible. If nothing else, by August or September, if she decides that this is something that she really wants to do.
Good news.
Good.
So that is basically what I have for the agenda notes now. Couple other things just to know that number one, we have a new town treasurer, Elise Lushkov. I think I got that right.
Hmm.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, JP.
Oh, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Elise, Elise.
Elllyse.
Okay,
And then and Glushkov is Glushkov. And then Louise Miller is
Yeah.
now the town clerk,
yeah,
and she has taken over for Teddy Eaton, who had a really wonderful turnout
Oh,
at
yes.
Town Hall last week. And it was just a great gathering of people who, for a long time have had a great appreciation for how wonderful Teddy is and how good she was at her job, and how she basically oversaw the whole voting system within the town and assured its compliance and its purity in terms of making sure that all the votes were counted and everything was proper and all validated and so on, among the other responsibilities that she has as town clerk. So yeah, that was two really wonderful things that have happened, and I'm looking forward to being able to, since we work directly with the town treasurer. Looking forward to being able to meet Elise in person and bring her up to speed in terms of the things that we do and see her thoughts in terms of things that we could do that could make the relationship even better. So
I had met her when she was in the town hall. I'm talking now about uh, the one that's left now,
Teddy, you mean?
Teddy,
Mhm.
and she was working at the town hall with a different person that's nobody, I don't think you would know. And this came up that they needed somebody to come to fill the position. And they were having difficulty. And the guy that was there, I don't remember his name. This is back like 1980. He said she could handle it. And good knows that's what happened. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years was she in the town?
What's that?
How many years was she in the town? Working for the town?
I believe it was, what,
It's over 40.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. She was working in another position for at least several years before this came along. And I think she has been town clerk for just as town clerk, I think, for at least
30
35,
years.
30 or 35.
30 or 35,
Yeah.
you're right. Because that's what, this was, when I talked about that, that was, the 2020, when
JP, you got your work cut out for you if you want to catch up to her.
At my previous job, I could have done it because I left there, with 23 years. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit that. I will also say people that being the clerk now is one of the hardest jobs that there is.
Yeah.
And in my previous things, I used to help the clerk a lot with on election night and doing stuff in the rules and the regulations and the voting equipment and all the checks that are involved are, I mean, most people don't appreciate like the determination of, I mean, the checks and balances that go into that is very detailed.
Yeah.
And it's very stressful on election night because everybody wants the results from whether it's the local races or the state races, and they keep calling, and it's a very stressful job sometimes.
yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah. And and of course it's so critical to be right, and especially in today's environment where being able to authenticate things um is so critical with all the other things that we've had to work with because of the last, say, 8 or 10 years. So it's it's terrific that Louise Miller has stepped up to want to be able to do that. And I've known Louise for a long time, and she's been really great to work with in a variety of different things that I've worked with her on. And So I'm,
Mm.
I think we're, basically have filled, two positions that were really critical to the town operations, and we look forward to all the good things that they can do and contribute from that point on. So it's great. So Jessica,
Yes.
this is the moment when we wanted to be able to get back to the item about from Needham to the world. And so if you want to talk a little bit about what your research has shown, and then and how you'd like to proceed from that.
Well, my heart is broken because I got really excited about the Allison Jones idea. And when I finally found someone who knew her and promised they would pass along the request, but warned me in advance that she really tries to sort of lead a low profile, quiet existence, and she probably wouldn't respond. I tried anyway, and she didn't respond. I did follow up once, but still didn't get a response. As I explained to Paul, I don't want to make a nuisance out of myself, and I suppose we could go ahead without someone's permission, but I don't feel comfortable, putting up photos of someone and putting up information about their life if they haven't at least said it's okay, and or taking a look at it to make sure it's accurate and all of that. So yeah, I think I think I'm out of time on that one. So I need to pull together a plan B. So I had told Paul, I have a profile on Charlie Baker that I drafted a while ago, as a possibility. The only update it would need is that he's now the president of the NCAA. Obviously, an impressive Needham resident and Needham High School graduate. Um, you know, some of the people we've profiled so far, I think, are sort of in that sweet spot of being kind of high profile enough to be interesting to people, but not so high profile that they don't respond to our requests or they're not all that interested in it. And I kind of think maybe Charlie Baker and or someone like Allie Reisman might fall into that category where they may not feel like they need any more adoration or any more publicity or whatever. So I guess I'm a little hesitant about that because I'm afraid I'm going to get my heart broken again. Although someone like, both of them, actually, Charlie Baker and Allie Reisman, are probably a lot more accustomed to being in the public eye and, part of the public space than perhaps Allison Jones was. So that's a possibility. I also pulled together some rough information. There's a comedy writer named Ben Carlin, who graduated from Needham High School, has written on some really interesting shows, including, comedy, The Tonight Show on Comedy Central. He wrote for The Onion. He has won some Emmys, and he actually came and spoke at Needham High School. Every year they have a Distinguished Career Award night where they have Needham High School graduates come in and talk about their careers, previous graduates from Needham High School. And he did come in and do that. And I'm going to have to move because I just realized my laptop's running out of power and my plug is upstairs. So I'll keep talking. So he did come and do that, which would indicate, that he might be amenable to doing something like this with us. He came and did that in the fall, just this past fall. So
Oh,
There goes
there we
the
go. Blinded by science.
So I have a quick thought. I think it's worth taking a shot with Charlie first. As difficult as it might be, I think that gets the NCRTF a lot of exposure. And especially once we have him up on the wall, I feel like just more people are going to just be attracted to him as a as a person that we're focusing on. Not that the other people aren't important, but when you profile someone like Charlie, all of a sudden word starts getting around, and all of a sudden there's people posting about it and sharing it, and maybe the news shows up. So that could be huge for us.
That's very valuable perspective on it. And I think I would be totally surprised with all the visits that Charlie has made to the town. Just, for a variety of different things that he has supported. If he didn't respond and, and say, like, wow, this is really, really nice.
Yep.
I mean, in the times that I've met him, he was, I mean, he's very down to earth. And, you know, and, I think that he would think it was a really special thing to be able to be honored like that.
I agree.
I can, the thing with Allison Jones, I have a, I have a guy that I went to high school with who went off to New York, became a comedy writer, and he's written for just an amazing variety of different shows. Two and a Half Men. Um, I saw the list of all the things that he had written for Tonight Show, um, and so on. But he, um, but he also um, doesn't really like to be um, in the foreground.
Mhm. Yeah.
And a good friend of mine that he and I not only grew up together, but also had a band, and he went off to New York to play music, and I went off to Berkeley, and those he uh, reached, has tried and had a network of people who were still in touch with him. And when he reached out through his network, because I just wanted to, catch up with him again, they were like, he basically just wants to keep a low profile. He likes working behind the scenes, and he doesn't really, you know, try to go out and get into the limelight at all.
Mhm.
So I can understand how people oftentimes who are in those very, hello again.
Hi, sorry about that. I
It's-
obviously waited too long.
but I can understand how people who are sometimes in those positions um, where they get um, the things that they do create so much visibility that they tend to not want to be visible themselves, uh, other than doing, within their network to be able to do the work that they do. So it's understandable. But
Mhm.
when I interviewed Sunita Williams, I had mentioned to you that she, when I asked her about, if she could just talk a little bit about her accomplishments and so on, and that she paused and then she said, Paul, um, I don't really do that. That I grew up in a family that was very focused on what the next thing is that we could do as a contribution. And we never talked about the things that we had already accomplished. That can be left to other people. He said, so for, those kinds of things, you're going to have to get it from the press and from those people. They can tell that story. But, basically, I'm more comfortable staying focused on the things that I'm going to do next.
Humble.
Yeah. So it was wonderful. So as far as Charlie Baker goes, actually, Eric brought up the fact that he thought that it would also, if we highlighted Charlie Baker, that it would also bring more visibility to the Revitalization Trust Fund itself for the program,
Mhm.
for the things we do, and that could be a valuable boost, to what getting more exposure for what we do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Followers, donors.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, especially, see, I just don't know. This is in July and a lot of people go on vacation. I started thinking, would he be available? Would he show up? Would someone in his family show up? I mean, I just don't know the answer to that. And I also don't know how concerned we are about that. And I guess that was one of the things I wanted to kind of ask the group is, if we can do a good profile of someone, but they might not necessarily be there for an unveiling, how much should I be factoring that into the calculation, because you know, it seems to me the main reason we're doing it is for sort of the average Needham resident walking down the sidewalk to notice it and realize, you know, someone interesting came from Needham. So, you know, if we're not sure that a particular person can or will come to an unveiling, for example, I don't know where Charlie Baker lives now, but I know the NCAA is like in the Midwest somewhere. And it'll be July, which is sort of vacation season. So if it looks like, you know, he's okay with doing it, but there isn't much of a chance he'll actually be there, how concerned are we about that? I guess that was one question I had.
Well,
You
on
know,
that-
and then just generally, I mean, the sources from which I get these names are, there's that list that, you know, Gloria helped you to put together, which is great, but that tends to be more historical people, right? Obviously, because it's from the History Center. I get sort of more contemporary names from the list of people that at Needham High School have been recognized as, you know, for their careers. And even on Wikipedia, on the Needham, Massachusetts, you know, Wikipedia page, it lists notable people from Needham. So those are sort of the sources where I find people. You know, Charlie Baker is obviously really high profile. I don't know if we should maybe save him for November, because might that be a time when, I don't know, he might be more available. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
Well, considering the elections are happening during that time.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I don't
true.
know if we could get a video from Charlie, maybe from
Mhm.
across the country, and then maybe anybody from the family to show up. It's kind of nice when family or friends show up and they talk about him.
Mhm.
It's like you get a different perspective, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Frank's family, like it was cool to hear like all those stories, you know.
Yeah.
We would, you know, but so I don't know. I think that's got some legs, if you would.
Mhm.
Well, and you know, I agree. I think uh it's absolutely, you know, it's wonderful when the person who's being profiled can be there. But just like with Frank Malzone, that there were family members who were able to come, and they added a whole nother level of, you know, of commentary and familiarity, and you know, the family members, you know, watched him grow up. So you know, that can be a wonderful perspective on and possible source of funny stories or things like that when we, you know, we do an unveiling. So you know, I would say that it's not critical that they are, you know, they are able to attend. If he's out in the Midwest, odds are he's not going to fly back to Needham unless he's deciding to vacation in Needham.
You never know. It's always possible.
You know, but
It's the NCAA is in Indianapolis, and let me tell you something. As somebody who spent summers in Indianapolis, it is not a city that you want to be in because it is very hot and very humid.
yeah. No. Yeah, I have family in Indiana also, and we usually visit in July or August. So I can definitely back up Jay. It's, it's hot, and my brother-in-law has a pool in the backyard, and so that's the saving grace of being able to go outside from the pool. But we've been in his pool where he has literally reported that the pool temperature was 90 degrees.
Without the heater.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then the air temperature was about another 10 or 12 degrees above that. So yeah, it's hot out there. Maybe he will just come back here to cool out.
Maybe. Okay,
But
so why don't I mean and I can circulate the profile. It's pretty well written, you know. It might be a little long. I might need to cut it down a little bit. Obviously there are a lot of images of him available in the news media, online, you know. That's not going to be a problem. Sorry, my dog. I'm having quite the night here. Obviously he's I can find images of him. So why don't I'll try to contact, you know, whoever he has working with him, you know, at this point, who deals with these kinds of things. I'm sure he probably has someone who works on publicity for him. And see if hopefully I can get an answer fairly quickly, because I know we're working on the July date. But okay, if that sounds good to everyone, I'll try to pull that together, and fingers crossed, hopefully this will work.
yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And obviously, you know, let me know if you're having trouble. Because you know, technically we should be starting to pull together the images and the pieces right now, because it takes us about, you know, 4 weeks to be able to get the profile not only arranged into a mural, but also to get it produced so we can get the the July timeframe. But if the other question is if he were to come or his family were to come, um, when in July might they be able to, would they like to have the unveiling?
Mhm.
So, I mean, we've done that with basically, all the people who, when they were going to show up, either themselves or their families, we try to be able to be flexible within that first month to accommodate whatever their schedule is so that they can be there for the unveiling. So, but
Okay.
and pretty much we've been within the first 2 weeks of the cycle, we've been able to have people be there. So,
Where is he living now?
I don't know. I know he was living on the North Shore, I think.
Oh.
I don't know if he actually moved to Indianapolis. I can find that out. I don't know if he's still local or if he's
Oh.
moved because of his new position. But I'll try to find that out this week.
Okay.
and I think the second thing is that I think we can, what we'll do is just put Allison on hold and, continue to see if we can find some contacts that would know her well enough to be able to just talk with her
Mm-hmm.
and just explain to her about what it is we're doing and that, you know, people are, we're trying to inspire kids to be able to go off and do, the kinds of great things that you've been capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'm sure that when you were at Needham High, you didn't expect to have this kind of career and meet all these amazing people. But you did. And that could be a real great inspiration to other, Needham kids to be able to realize they could, have those dreams and fulfill them. So, let's continue to try to be able to reach out for her no matter what. Second piece we have to be able to think of in terms of Charlie Baker is sponsors. So we need to get onto that right away because as of the moment, because we were sort of in limbo between reaching out to Allison, that we haven't rallied any sponsor for this particular cycle. So we need to be able to get that started right away. And again, it's $1,295, and so we'd really like to be able to get that in process. So if you know any people who are connected with Charlie Baker, or when you're reaching out through the network, um, if you mention to people that we're not only wanting to confirm that he'd be psyched to be able to have us do this, but that if you're talking to any of the family members and say, or other people related to Charlie Baker that are fans, to let them know that that we're also looking for sponsorship for this too. And I'll do the same, of course. I'll go out and once we're confirmed to do this, that we'll do that. And and at the same time, we'll start to do more promotion to be able to just get a sponsor for the program for the final cycle of the year, because that's the only one that we don't have filled right now. And so I mean, I want to try to be able to make sure that we keep the sponsorship not necessarily tied to the person who's being sponsored. If that's a bonus to be able to inspire them to want to sponsor it, that's really great. But we want to be able to try to stay focused on being able to have people sponsor it because of the concept of the program. And its desire to be able to inspire the, kids and parents of Needham to recognize that there are these people who, lived here and just, really done terrific things. And, you can do the same kind of thing if you take, follow your dreams and keep working hard. So, any other things that anyone other than the next meeting date?
What is our next meeting
JP?
date?
JP, anything that you have as an update of any of the
No,
things?
not really. Nothing town meetings and everybody here is all focused on that. So it's my first town meeting, so I'm looking forward to it.
There you go.
Have a cup of coffee before you go.
I assume we're going back to Thursday or?
Yes.
not?
Yep.
Okay,
The 23rd.
yeah. June is generally when we have that as nothing. Yeah, in the past.
What about
July.
the third? What about the 30th?
Oh. Um,
I just didn't know if people were gone that week, is why I said the 23rd.
Oh, is that a holiday week? Oh, is that Labor Day week?
The 27th will be Memorial Day.
oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, I would say the 30th.
I could do either date.
The 30th works for me.
All right. Next meeting. May 30th. All right, we will get that,
May 30th.
we'll get that set up. And we'll, in the meantime, Jessica, let me know what your progress is on the, on Charlie. So I'm traveling during from the 7th to the 22nd of May. But I'll still have my computer. I'll still be because I have work for my own business to be able to do. So I'll definitely be accessible, and we can communicate in whatever way we need to be able to keep that moving forward. So we get that started, because I want to be able to start giving things to to Seymour to start preparing the foundation for it as quickly as possible.
That's good.
All right,
All righty. So
all right.
I think we're good. All right. So I propose that we close the Revitalization Trust Fund meeting for April 30th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
I,
It's official. And thank you so much, JP, for all your help.
Not a problem. Thank you. And I'll get this invite for next meeting over to you guys in probably 5 minutes.
All righty, we're way ahead.
All right.
Look at Wow.
Thanks. Oh, and I emailed Paul just for you. I emailed the new the clerk has a kind of like a template she'd like ever to start to
Yes.
use.
I got it, and I'm
Okay.
now following.
Okay, awesome.
So that's great.
Perfect.
All right, everyone.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
tremendously.
Bye, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.